So this one is called something like, when paying people is dangerous, you delay payment. And so I did a blog post earlier um, on the chicken sit, which is probably going to come before this. And so that's gotten me thinking about financial independence. I've also been watching a few clips online from different folks who talk about financial independence and just trying to learn. Sorry, I got distracted. Okay, I'm just gonna read it. So this one is called, when paying people is dangerous, you delay payment. And so, unemployed folks, like, do you ever just wake up and you just think to yourself, like, the reason I can't get a job is because they are all delaying on hiring and paying me, is because they know that as soon as I stack that fuck you money, as Adelia Aborisade calls it, as soon as they know that the check's clear, the financial independence is more than just a dream, once it's manifested and materialized, especially for Black people and or especially for Black women, folks who typically have not had resources and we assume are always going to be poor, should always be poor, should be desperate, struggling, those who we view as like quote unquote welfare queens, as mooches, as burdens. What else do they call it? Drains to society, as these types of people. Once you start to get some real financial capital and or wealth, this is really tricky conversation, but you know what I mean. I don't have to go into it. Anyways, there's 3 things that I realized why people will delay payments when you're a certain type of person. 1, they know they can't talk to you any type of way. Like, they truly know they can't talk to you any type of way, right? And they never should have. Let's be very clear. People should always be respectful, unless obviously whatever it is and who you are, and actions that you've done has warranted disrespect. Which again, in all full transparency, there is some of that as well too here. So is not completely separate. But for the most part, what I'm talking about is when you're broke and you're desperate, when you're poor, people know that they can take advantage of you, and in the most audacious of ways, right? They'll just wildly disrespect you just for fun. They'll dehumanize you just for play, just to say that they could, right? It's a power play. They can say that, like, yeah, I did this, right? They have that flex. People love having money because it gives them more access to power. They could dominate people more when they have that financial wherewithal or access, right? They'll literally just be a menace and torture you for practice. Like, you become something that this obsession, this project, you just become something, and they just do it because it makes them feel so big about themselves. They love it, right? They know that they can get away with more than a lot of other people could, once you're financially dependent on them or just financially dependent, period, right? I just recorded a new video earlier on today on my chicken sit, and the importance of self-sustainability, so that will probably be up before this blog. But I'm riding that wave. And so there's more to come in that episode, but that's what I'm thinking about, right? Why will people delay in paying you? 2, if you're a professional troublemaker, as Lovey Ajayi Jones calls it, right? If you're known to make good trouble, I can't think of the politician's name right now. My memory gets really DC. Oh, Black civil rights, good trouble. I can't think of who said good trouble at this moment. But if you're making good trouble, if you are disrupting status quo, if you are challenging really awful things, they'll know as soon as you get money, you're back on your bullshit, right? And it's not, to be clear, it's not bullshit. Like that's actually a lot of difficult work. I'm talking here about activism and or advocacy, speaking out, just doing whatever it is that you can make a difference. So like, I'm just using back on your bullshit because that's what the kids are saying, right? I'm not actually, it's not literal bullshit. But they know that you're acting out, you're cutting up even more than before, right? Way more than before now. And they know that. And now you are also not thinking about being financially cut off. Like, you're not worried about what would happen if if I called out this thing. Some millionaires and even some billionaires become so obedient and respectable, right? And I'm going to get into, like, that's also me as well too, but they're rocking no boats, they're ruffling zero feathers. And that's not to say any of us have to or are owed that, right? We all have our place. There's something for all of us to do. Not everybody's an activist, not everybody's out there resisting. I talked about this in yesterday's episode, talking about Clarence Thomas, right? Like, not everybody is going to be, even though he was at one point an activist and doing all that stuff, but for whatever reason they switch, right? And I'm really curious to know why, because like, you've got the money, you're in the position to make real change. And I say act like it, right? And people will probably be really offended and be like, well, you don't even have money, you're broke. That's what the whole point, this is what the whole post is about. You're gonna keep me broke. Because there's certain people who, imagine Malcolm X got the resources that he really needed. And I'm not saying they're gonna be like, Dorothy's comparing herself to Malcolm X. That's not what I'm doing. But also, this is what I'm saying. When it is dangerous to pay people, they're going to delay and sabotage payment. Like, you're not giving somebody those, you're not giving those who died broke. All I can't really think about Malcolm X, who died broke, trans advocacy, I was gonna say Sylvia Winters. Insert your favorite civil rights movement worker who did great and powerful work. And that's not to say that's what I'm doing, because I'm not doing no work right now. But who ended up dying broke? Their faces. All of their faces. But none of the names are coming to me. Marsha P. Johnson. Marsha's coming to me. Marsha came to me. John. Civil rights. John. Oh my God, I can't think of his name. Who else? There's another one. The anthropologist, the first Black woman anthropologist, ghostwriter, Zora Neale Hurston. There's so many people. Those are the three that needed to be named, because I can't, like, I see so many faces of like ancestors who did really great work, but people made sure that they never got money, because if they got that kind of money, then they would do way more of that type of work. You get the gist. I gotta move on. I was gonna say, I'm really curious to know why people choke. Like, when you have access to billions of dollars and you could do what the ancestors would have loved to do, why don't you do it? I'm really curious to know what that is about. I got a little taste and see my life, right? Like, I'm now a shell of a person. I barely talk. I'm numb. You become robotic. Like, they will really punish you. And so, I know exactly why people don't. And we talked about this again yesterday, right? For safety, for survival. But this is how the docile body emerges. Bless you. This is how the docile body, bless you. This is how the docile body emerges. This is how you become, over time, slowly they chip away at you. Bless you. You become complacent and complicit. All to say is, I think that some people fear losing money if they bite the hands that feed them. Which I've definitely done. You burned all the bridges, bit all the hands that fed you, which is really interesting, because those same people who would be like, well, there's consequences to your actions, and there are, right? At the same time, they'll still look at you and be like, do something. How? With what? With what? With who? They'll want you to make something of yourself, but like, after all of that, you still expect me to get up and still make something out of nothing. I'm Black folks too. And so where am I? Yeah, people they're afraid of losing money, and so they don't do more. Right? And there are a lot of movement workers who do a lot more and better work with less. Right? And I just want to say, don't sleep on the movement workers that are on the ground. Like, I'm not one, but I'm watching, I'm studying, I'm paying attention, from Cop City, folks even here in Canada around migrant rights. Like, I was so in awe of what folks are doing. I'm reading things that are making me, there's like abortion access. People are fighting back. There are, these kids now that are suing the government. Like, people are doing amazing work around trans rights. Like, they're really pushing the needle forward with so little funding and resources. Like, you would think that with more money, people would be actually mobilizing real change, right? And the politicians are struggling to actually do some sort of anything with all the money that they have. And it's don't sleep on the poor people, right? Who is it, JT recently that just said the poor bitches or something? Excuse my language. Don't listen to them. No, those are the ones you need to be listening to. Listen to poor people. Pay poor people. Because those are the folks who understand and know what it is that's going on. They have solutions. They actually care for things to change because it's not serving them. What do rich people really know? They're delusional. No offense, but a lot of you guys are delusional. Like, we're out of touch with reality. And I add myself in that category, even though I'm broke. But, like, I'm from that. Right? There's some, like, my family, we have some sort of access and wealth. I think that people would be doing a whole lot more once they have that upwards mobility. And often they don't. If anything, they become more conservative, like I talked about with Clarence Thomas, and they end up just switching teams altogether. They end up turning on you now. And then the last one, anyways, I want to be more solidarity in more real ways in the future. But obviously that takes me going through my whole recovery, lots of hard conversations. More times we're not going to reconcile because I was in some of these communities and movements, and like things have ruptured, and they need to probably just stay ruptured. And so there's a whole lot that's going on in there. 3, the final one is just, they know that if you're living your best life, if you are living your best carefree life at that, it makes people so mad. Right? Like, just watch how people treat, especially Black women. Watch how people treat Black women who are financially independent. Oh, they hate them. The men hate them. Other women hate them. Like, everybody just gets so jealous. They just get so bitter. They get so angry. Like, women or just people in general who have some sort of access to money and who are able to live their life how they want, with agency, with autonomy, with self-sovereignty. Oh, people, it makes people mad. It makes me mad. I'm not gonna lie, right? I used to be so jealous. I've talked about this. I hate that people act like they don't get jealous over stuff like that. But meanwhile, we're all like, wow, social media is making people so insecure. Well, that's because we all get online and we see what people have more than us, and it makes us feel some type of way, right? I'm way more secure now than I was before. Thank God. And I'm just hoping that maybe one day I'll have that one day, and like, I look at that and I get excited. I'm like, okay, well, at least that's on my radar, right? Maybe that is also possible for me too. And if it's not possible, good for you. Like, let's celebrate that for you. I was not always like that. It can still be a struggle, but people really hate to see other people happy. Senator Baldwin, names, I'm not doing great with names today. Senator Baldwin, Robert Jones Jr., I got an email from him, or I was reading an email from him yesterday, and in his email listserv, he literally shares a story where he's walking down the streets, talking to his cousin on the phone, smiling over whatever he and her are talking about, and this man on the street was like, insulted, like, why are you smiling? Was so upset that he was smiling. And the email was talking about, what is it What does it say about the conditions of your life where you cannot stand to see somebody smiling? And I talk about my first blog post, I Ego You, talks about me thinking about me being a covert narcissist, being so miserable in my own life that I could not celebrate other people and be happy for them, right? It says a lot more about us who cannot stand to see people happy. Why is it that anytime you see somebody advancing, making it happy, then your natural inclination is to be upset, to be jealous, to be envious, to want to take it away from them? Again, I've talked about this myself, and so I'm not casting any stones here, right? But this is the third and final point. People know that when more people get money, that they just can't stand to see them happy or thriving. They hate it. And so they're going to keep that money from you. They will do whatever to block that money from getting to you, to make sure that you never have that that financial independence. And that's on an individual level. On a systemic level, that looks like intergenerational poverty. That looks like redlining. That's what we're actually talking about. That looks like Jim Crow. That looks like slavery. That looks like we are going to do whatever it is possible to stop you from ever being able to be in a financial place where you can assert your own self-sovereignty, where you have self-determination, where you can do as you say and I can no longer control you. So there's an individual stuff going on, and then there's the structural and systemic stuff. And when it gets to structural and systemic, that's where it gets really fucked up. Money gets blocked. Anyways, that's all I had to say, right? Control, domination, power. Do unemployed people just wake up and think that? Or is it just me? Because I'm just I will fall into the rabbit hole and just unearth all of this foolishness that I spent the last, 18 minutes talking about, which essentially is a conspiracy theory. Let's just put it out there before others jump on the conspiracy theory. We know that. Thank you very much for pointing out the obvious. And also, I do sometimes think somebody in this world, universe out there is withholding money from some people because they know as soon as you get your money, it's not even revenge you're coming from. And that's what they fear. That's actually what they fear. They get their money, then if you get your money, you're coming for revenge. It's a revenge they actually fear. And others have talked about it, it's not me. But more times, we're not even looking for revenge, as others have said. I just want to be, just let me get my money, find some place. I'll probably would move back home. I already have a dream house back home that I know where I would want to live. Let me be able to afford that property. I start my own little small farm. I have my garden. I have my goats running around. I have my chickens running around. I have my sauna that I can go to if I need to. I can jump into the pool to do a little 1-2 workout. I could walk around the property. There's an underground bunker if I need to. There's a long driveway before you ever get to my house. Listen, I've already seen my dream house. I know exactly where it is. It's not too far from our family house. Like these, and then, if it's, because again, I had this whole thing, I'm getting off tangent, but maybe I need to do that when we're talking about land back, when we're talking about indigenous sovereignty, when we're talking about stolen, unceded territories, dreams, all of that. What do we do when we get this money and we're on somebody else's stolen land? It's very hard for me to envision living my best carefree life in North America because this is not my land, right? My father's a chief. From what I understood of what I was taught, before you go places, you need to check in with the chiefs there. You need to figure, I didn't do that process. I never asked anybody permission to be here. I just came here. So what does that look to own property? Maybe that could be another topic. I'm going to end it here because it's 20 minutes. Okay, until next time, like, subscribe, share. All to say is they know, which means the money may never come. That's okay. Keep pushing. What else did I write? Pave your own new way. Learn from those who are financial literate or don't. Set goals, make plans, use budgets or don't. Take courses or don't. Pay coaches or don't. Just do whatever you have to. I'm not telling anybody what to do. Just do what you need to survive, and hopefully one day we'll know what this thriving word that people are using. People are thriving out here. I'm seeing them. They're thriving. Maybe one day we'll also know what it is to thrive, but until then, just survive. Okay?